Hello! Welcome to JenPenCreations. I'm Jen. Today we are going to talk about generations. We'll go over everything I know about generations and why I think we started talking in them, because that's a recent development. So stay with me and we'll get right to it. Thinking a lot lately about generations and this new weird speaking in generations kind of thing, referring to ourselves as a specific generation and other people as specific generations. I mean, why do we do that? When did it start? I have answers for those questions because I've been researching that myself, because I'm going to tell you, I really don't like it. From what I've read, so far we have about 6 generations and counting. I don't know what generation is coming after Alpha or what they're going to call it. Maybe Beta? Maybe? And I'm not quite sure what generations came before the silent generation, but right now people are only talking about the silent generation, the boomers, Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, and now up and coming is Generation Alpha. These are the kids that are in elementary school right now, which I don't even understand how they can even have a generation name yet, considering they haven't been here long enough for us to even know who they are. I mean, yes, they're a generation raised on different kind of stuff than what we were, but isn't that where generational speak came from in the first place? So going back, let's talk about how generations were talked about when I was young. Generations only ran in families. There was your great-grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, you, and your children. That's 5 generations. And if you can get a picture of your child with your great-grandparent, that is like super awesome, because that's like 5 generations. It's so cool. But that's the only way I've ever heard generations being talked about when I was young. We referred to other people and the differences in what was around for them and what was around for us in decades. We had the 50s babies, the 60s babies, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, going by decades, kids born between 2000 and 2010, those are the kids who should be called millennials, right? I don't understand how somebody born in the early 80s could be considered a millennial when they were born 20 years before the millennium. Weird, huh? I mean, people born in the 50s and 60s were around during 2000 as well. So why would just early 80s and all of 90s kids be considered millennials? It's just so weird that we went from being called the 80s kids to being called millennials nowadays. And I'm pretty sure that happened because of the 2010s. Because is there a decade name for the 2010s? Just the 10s, right? What did we call the 1910s? Early 1900s? But older generations did actually experience the same technological marvels that the younger generations are experiencing. Yeah, the older generations didn't grow up their whole lives with it like the younger generations, which is what makes us different. But we've had it ever since it came out. It's like my grandparents and having a microwave. They didn't have a microwave when they were babies. Like, their parents didn't have microwaves to warm up bottles and make fast meals. But microwaves became a thing when they were raising their kids. Maybe not when they were super young, but you know, my grandparents would be over 100 years old right now if they were still alive. And they were one of the first generations of people to have a microwave in their home. Then my mom had a microwave. We had a microwave. I had a microwave in the house the whole time I was growing up. I know that my grandparents wanted my mom to have a microwave when she got married and moved out, so she got one as a wedding gift. And that's how I grew up, with a microwave my whole life. I don't know a world without a microwave. Does that make me lazy? Because I grew up my whole life being able to warm up my leftovers or my lunch or my breakfast, my oatmeal in the microwave instead of having to heat water on the stove, which I did that too. But we had a microwave and it made it fast and easy. Did that make me lazy and not learn how to cook and feed myself properly because we had a microwave? No, actually, I know quite well how to cook, and my kids can vouch for that. It did not prohibit me from growing in this world. It just made life easier. And that's the way technology really needs to be viewed by everybody, regardless of what decade we were born in. When the generational speak first started, I was very resentful of it. And I look back on that and I found out that the reason why is because I was being put into the same generation as my oldest daughter, who was born in the 90s, and I was born in the 80s. Yeah, I had kids young, but I wasn't like 10. I was 17 when I had my first child, and there should not be 17 years of one generation. To me, that's just absolutely ridiculous, because I didn't grow up from birth with the same technologies as somebody born in 1997 or 1998. Why would they be put in the same category as me? Why can't I just be listed as an 80s baby? Then I became a teenager in the 90s. I was a baby in the 80s. I was a teenager in the 90s. I was a young adult in the early 2000s, raising my own babies. Why can't we just talk in decades? It actually brings us all together, because if you lived during that decade, you know what other people lived through in that decade. So there's a whole lot of people who experienced the 90s, okay? I experienced the 90s. I experienced the 90s as a teenager. There are some people who experienced the 90s as a very small child or infant. And most of those memories are real choppy. Like my memories of the 80s are pretty choppy because they were from when I was very, 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 very young. So by the 90s, I remember the 90s. Now, I was between 10 and 19 in the 90s. And I don't think I can actually lump myself in the same group as the kids who were born in the 90s when I was a teenager then. I don't know why I'm put in the same group with them. It's weird. And going back to talking in decades brings us together. That's why we all experienced the 90s. Even my mom, even my grandparents experienced the 90s. We experienced it at different stages in life, but we all remember the 90s and the big things that happened during the 90s and the crazy weird fashions and the alternative music and all the stuff that was straight up awesome 90s. We all remember that. We all remember Saved by the Bell. We were there. Whether you were 10, 20, 30, 60, you still remembered the 90s because you lived it. When we talk in generations, now we're separating people. We're tearing people apart. We're talking like, you don't understand what I am living through because you lived through a different era. Okay, yeah, they lived a lot of life that we didn't live. But they're also living through this era too. And I mean, we've always talked about generational gaps. There's a lot of times that if someone waits until they're like 40 or 50 to have a baby, you've got 50 years between you and that baby. And that's a big gap. A lot of times we don't understand what it feels like to be that age in this era. I don't know what it's like to be a 20-year-old in 2025. I don't. My kids do, but I don't. And that's okay. But we're all living through the 2020s. If you are 20 in 2025, that means you lived through COVID. We all lived through COVID. We all had our own personal experiences with that. And a lot of them were just traumatic and horrible. Being shut in and not having communication and just, it was really rough for a lot of people. Mental illness is no joke. And COVID was tough for a lot of us. Every generation of people who went through COVID can recall it. It's not like my grandson, who was a tiny baby during the shutdown. He was at a stage in his life where he should have been able to go play on swings at the park, and he couldn't. He couldn't. Everything was shut down. You weren't allowed to be around other people. And ever since then, people have been a little leery about being around each other. I mean, I've noticed it at grocery stores, at theaters, in parking lots. You see every other space taken and nobody's like right next to each other unless they have to be and there's no other parking. So things have changed. We all lived through those changes. We all can empathize and sympathize with each other about those changes, and it can bring us together. Instead of looking at somebody who was raised in a different time period as you and saying, okay, boomer, whatever you say, boomer, just tearing people down and being mean and angry. I mean, I remember when generational speak first started, and a lot of times everybody was dogging on millennials. Apparently, that's what I am. I'm an older millennial. I don't understand that. Why am I lumped in with these people who weren't even born when I was 10? I don't even know why generations have been lumped the way they have been. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, actually. And all it has done, it's been a system there to tear us apart. It hasn't been there to bring us together. As people grow, we grow in decades. We don't grow in 20-year generations. We grow in decades. Every 10 years, something crazy happens within those 10 years. Why are we putting people born in 1980 in the same generational category as someone born in 1997? That is two completely different decades and times, and so much has happened in between that there's no way that these two people can even be relatable in that way, if you know what I mean. I don't know why they would be lumped in the same generation, because they did not experience the same things in their childhood. The one born in 1997, they don't remember Polka Dot Door, okay? But me, born in the very early 80s, I remember watching Polka Dot Door right before Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. By the time the child born in 1997 came about, Fred Rogers was still making his appearances, I do believe. So that child may have seen it. They've never heard of Polka Dot Door. And why on earth would I be put in the same category as this person as though we experienced the same childhood? We grew up the same. We didn't. We should not be in the same generation. And I think that's the same with Gen X and Gen Z and the boomers. And I think that's the same with everybody. I think we just need to go back to speaking in decades, because that's what brings us together as people. And we're here to love each other and bring each other up and bring each other together. So why on earth do you want to speak in a type of verbiage that just tears us all apart? I'd like to thank you for sticking around with me today on my really weird rant, because I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I don't know why, but I am very happy that you stuck by me, at least this long. I hope that you go out and have a wonderful day. Do something for you. Do something for somebody else. Make them feel like you are in their life for a good reason. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.